What are your thoughts to the Mets and some of the some of the moves that they've made over the last couple of years and overpaying these players? And I blame Billy Eppler because he is the GM, but I also blame Steve Cohen because he thought he can buy his way into a championship.
I think if anything, the game has proven in recent years is you can't buy a championship. It just doesn't work that way. It doesn't work. You've seen it time and time again where guys are really overpaying for players. And a term I always used was a dude. If you're a dude, and you're being paid like a dude, you got to play like a dude. And how many times does that not happen? Where guys are being paid a boatload, they get their big contract, and then it falls off. And the Mets certainly had a lot of guys that did not come through for them. Ultimately, and I know you guys follow this closely, but I really think in the end, Steve Cohen probably made a smart long-term move. Mets fans are not going to be happy in 2024. Probably won't happen in 25. But he, in essence, for $80 million, he bought a farm system.
So I agree with you on the player value of the moves. I think they did well in terms of getting good prospects back for older pitchers. The one thing I didn't really like is the way they handled like Max Scherzer, like telling him, oh, we're not even going to contend in 2024. Pete Alonso, we might even consider trading him. Do you think that end of it is something that could be an issue for the Mets down the road, getting these big free agents?
Yeah, it could. And I always wonder, A, if those conversations really happened in the tone from which they've come out. But I don't know why that conversation would ever happen with a player. Why would you tell a player who you're moving on, we're not going to compete for the next couple of years? I'm not sure you have that conversation. I go back to Billy Beane and Moneyball.
Yeah.
You don't need to say too much.
Right.
We traded you to the Texas Rangers. Here's going to be the deal.
Well,
Nothing good can happen by extending that conversation.
Well, in Uncle Stevie's voice of reason, he takes all responsibility of what's happened. But he decided going into this offseason that he is going to keep Buck Showalter, who's been absolutely horrific as a manager right now. And then, obviously, Billy Eppler, who has been an absolute joke as a GM. I don't care. He comes from the Yankees and Brian Cashman and that genre of GMs that have been all over the league. I could care less. He has been horrible, and anybody that lets him keep his job after spending over $500 million in the last year and a half and not bringing in the players to produce and then trade away 200 of them, makes $200 million worth of that talent away because they didn't work out, is just a joke.
All right, so let me ask you this question, though. So, one, Buck Showalter's not playing the game.
That's true.
Players are, and they're underperforming. So does that fall on Buck Showalter, who's been doing this game a long time and certainly has the ability to manage a game strategically well, manage a clubhouse, manage a culture. But if players simply don't perform, I don't know what you do about that as a manager.
Well, Mike, we all know this, and when a manager or coach loses the locker room, they lose their job. They get yanked. And Buck Showalter, there's a lot of stupid things he has said this year, and he's thrown his team under the bus in many different ways. Players under the bus after certain games and making excuses that make no sense. Buck thinks that the New York fans are stupid baseball followers. And what New York fans know is what they see, and what they see is what they get. And Buck is trying to make excuses that make absolutely no sense, including Aaron Boone. And that's why Aaron Boone's not going to have a job at the end of this year. I like Aaron, but he has said stupid things. And to me, if you want somebody to respect you in your locker room, you want your organization to respect you, even though you think by saying nothing shows any thought that you're protecting the player, the press is going to eat you up alive, and they've been doing it to Aaron Boone. They've been doing it to Buck, and they have nothing to say. And to me, if you can't answer the press, you're going to lose your job.